opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 8 News Now or Nexstar Media Group.
I'm willing to do anything it takes because enough is enough.
Now the lengths the teachers union says it's willing to go to get raises promised by Governor Sisolak.
It no longer addresses the needs of a rapidly growing state.
Plus, the move underway to have annual sessions of the Nevada legislature instead of every other year.
Things that matter to the American people and not this witch hunt and hoax of Russian collusion.
Plus, we interview the head of communications for President Trump's re-election campaign on the Mueller report and the role it will play.
From 8 News Now, this is Politics Now with Steve Sebelius and Patrick Walker.
Teachers and the union that represents them are concerned a promised pay raise from the state may never happen. Thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Sebelius.
And I'm Patrick Walker. A bill to fund the 3% raise is waiting for its first hearing almost halfway through the legislative session. Educators are keeping a close eye on Carson City. Elementary school teacher Marie Nices says it's time for a change because she hasn't seen a raise in 2 years.
Without that salary increase, without increasing it to encourage other people from the United States to come here to teach, we're never going to improve.
Governor Steve Sisolak promised that change earlier this year in the State of the State speech, with the first state-funded raise in over a decade.
Legislators, I'm asking you to stand with me and stand with our educators by including them in the 3% pay raise.
Another top priority bill, a fix to the gun background check law, passed in the first few weeks of the session. But the bill that would codify the pay raises into law, Assembly Bill 277, was only just introduced last week. It does not yet have a committee hearing date set, drawing concern from some lawmakers. Clark County Education Association Executive Director John Velardito worries the hundreds of bills that have been introduced in the last week, many that increase state spending, could hurt the bill's chances.
The sum total of those bills, their fiscal hit, blows out of water the governor's budget. And we're concerned because in the end, somebody without introducing any new revenue is going to start doing horse trading. And education cannot be horse traded.
Velardito says teachers are getting restless.
And there's a fever demanding justice and to be treated respectfully as professionals. And I don't think Nevada is immune from that. I think that's catching on.
Anything could be on the table.
Anything is on the table.
Nices says that includes walking off the job if lawmakers fail to pass teacher raises.
Whether it's attending the rally on April 27th or if it means a strike and we come together and decide how we're going to do that, then absolutely. I'm willing to do anything it takes because enough is enough.
Well, it's important to point out that state law expressly prohibits public employees from striking, but a lot of this has been going on behind the scenes.
Right. I think that the circumstances teachers feel like it is getting to the point where they would do whatever. They think basically a lot of unfunded mandates are coming through that there is no revenue stream for and all of the bills being introduced, and they don't want their raises to be the thing that is left out when all is said and done. That was the horse trading that Velardito was talking about. Now, you're not hearing much from Democrats on this bill right now. It kind of seems like almost there's an effective gag order on it in case, but Republicans, because of that, have really stepped in. I heard from Senate Minority Leader James Settlemyre earlier this week, who pointed out very quickly that several of his caucus's bills, including one that would raise the teacher salary to $45,000 from roughly $40,000 now, are all out there, so maybe people should think about their bills instead.
Well, speaking of bills, more than 140 new ones were introduced on Monday night as the legislature ran up against a key deadline. One bill would raise Nevada's minimum wage to $12 an hour. It would set it at $11 an hour if an employer offers health insurance. AB 456 was a key campaign promise of many Democrats. The minimum wage in Nevada currently $8.25 for employees without health insurance and $7.25 with it. If this bill passes, wages would increase by 75 cents per year for the next 5 years.
Senate Bill 437, that's aimed at setting up banks that would work with marijuana companies. It creates policies for marijuana credit banks and charter banks. Right now, many of those companies, most of them, are dealing in cash only because banks are afraid of current federal regulations about pot.
And two new bills are aimed at younger Nevadans. AB 470 would raise the minimum age to buy cigarettes and other tobacco products to 21 years old. It would also allow more stringent restrictions on tobacco advertising.
Another bill would apply driver's ed requirements before giving a license to 18 and 19-year-olds. Currently, they only apply to people under the age of 18. SB 474 would also up the required number of supervised hours before someone is off of a restricted license from 50 hours to 75 for everyone under the age of 20 years old.
The City of Las Vegas will be holding a special election for the Ward 2 seat left open after Steve Soroka's abrupt resignation.
Now we know who's going to be running in it. So far, 9 people say they want the job. That includes former State Assemblywomen Victoria Seaman and Valerie Weber. Public Relations Executive Hillary Gray also among the mix. The special election will be held on Election Day in June. Well, the legislature creeping up now to about halfway done, but if a resolution eventually passes, there could be a lot more days in future sessions.
Under the Nevada Constitution, the legislature is limited to meeting for just 120 days every other year. But that may change under Senate Joint Resolution 5. It's sponsored by all but 3 of the Democrats in the state Senate. Now, under this resolution, the Constitution would be amended to allow for a session of 90 days in odd-numbered years, 60 days in even-numbered years. But those aren't just regular calendar days. They're legislative days. That means the clock only runs when the legislature or its committees are actually meeting. Now, according to a fiscal note attached to the resolution, the extra costs associated with running the legislature for that time would be $13.3 million. That's not the only change. The resolution allows for lawmakers to be paid according to a regular schedule, but it doesn't say how much. Currently, lawmakers receive a salary for only the first 60 days of a session. That's a throwback to the past when sessions only lasted 60 days. Sponsor Joyce Woodhouse said it's time for Nevada to join the vast majority of states with annual sessions.
Despite our tradition of biennial sessions, it is time for change. While this tradition made sense during periods when our population was much lower and our finances less complex, it no longer addresses the needs of a rapidly growing state with a multi-billion-dollar budget operating in a global marketplace. Our state simply cannot adequately address rapidly changing conditions, a complex budget, and policy matters by meeting every other year.
The resolution would have to be approved by the legislature this year and again in 2021. If it is, voters get their say in November 2022. Now, Mark Twain covered the legislature back in those days when sessions only lasted 60 days. It's never been proven he actually said it, but many people nonetheless agree with the sentiment of his alleged quote, "It's far better the legislature meet every 60 years for 2 days than every 2 years for 60 days.
There you go. Hey, you got to get some of those words of wisdom, allegedly from Mark Twain in there, right?
Right, allegedly.
Well, banning cops from having sex with someone who's in their custody.
Just one really quick basic question. Isn't this already the law?
Turns out the answer to that question is no. Why one state senator is now trying to fix that.
Plus, the Trump campaign tells us if President Trump wants the Mueller report released to the public and what the release timeline looks like. That's next on Politics Now.
$79 a month. That's all it takes to drive a quality used car from Prestige Chrysler Jeep Dodge. Right now, find prices from $49.95. Low 2.9% APR financing. Credit problems are not a problem. Get to Prestige Chrysler Jeep Dodge.
Every day we help people hurt in accidents. Do you know the compensation you're entitled to right now and in the future? Do you need our help?
Golightly and Associates, 222-3333.
Now is the time to buy at Planet Nissan with huge savings on every new Nissan in stock. New Muranos and Maximas now $7,000 off MSRP. That's $7,000 off. The new Nissan Titans now $12,000 off MSRP. That's $12,000 in savings. Now at Planet Nissan.
Cox offers gig speed internet everywhere.
I just downloaded 10 HD movies.
CenturyLink does not.
I can't get one movie to play.
It's clear that Cox is the better choice. Just like it's clear that the sound guy needs to pay attention.
Unlike CenturyLink, Cox has 1 gig internet speeds available everywhere. Get Cox internet starting at $29.99 a month for up to 10 megs.
Now is the time to buy at Planet Nissan. New 2019 Sentra is now $3,500 off MSRP. That's $3,500 off. Or get 0% APR for 60 months for well-qualified buyers on many 2019 Nissans. Now at Planet Nissan.
At Nevada State Bank, we believe it matters how we shape, build, and grow Southern Nevada. We're proud to support important causes in our community and to be an 8 News Now Community Pride partner.
$79 a month. That's all it takes to drive a quality used car from Prestige, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge. Right now, find prices from $49.95. Low 2.9% APR financing. And credit problems are not a problem. Get to Prestige, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge.
Welcome back to Politics Now.
Well, one topic set the political world on its ear this week, the Attorney General's assessment of the Mueller report and the news that President Trump would not be charged with anything.
Now, Democrats are calling for a release of that full report. I asked our Washington, D.C. correspondent Alexandra Limon to tell us about the timeline. The big news in Washington, of course, the Mueller report coming down. When might we see that report released publicly?
Well, Congress had set a deadline for the Attorney General, saying they want to receive the full report by April 2nd. That's next week. That's unlikely to happen, but Attorney General William Barr has said that he does plan to release the report to Congress in weeks rather than months. But there's a whole process he's going to go through, and the Justice Department is going to go through to edit out and black out portions of the report. So then that edited report is what will then go to Congress. Now, Democrats tried to hold a vote in Congress for a resolution. It's non-binding to basically force the Department of Justice to release the report in its entirety publicly. It did pass in the House of Representatives 420-0. However, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked the effort to hold a vote in the Senate, so that didn't happen, and that's led some Democrats to ask, why can't we see the full report in its entirety?
Well, why wouldn't that full report be released? Why would the Attorney General want to keep at least parts of that redacted?
Right. The Attorney General has pretty much said he does not plan to release the full report, and there are a few different reasons. First of all, under federal law, anything that was discovered by a grand jury can't be made public. Then there's the issue that there may be Americans named in Mueller's report that were never actually charged with a crime.
Well, in the wake of the release of that special counsel report, the Trump re-election campaign is doing what you'd expect, taking a victory lap.
I interviewed Mark Lauder, the Director of Strategic Communications for Donald Trump's re-election campaign, about the Mueller report. The president's reaction was fairly favorable to at least what the Attorney General had released in his summary. Give me a little more detail on the president's reaction to what he's seen so far.
Well, it's very positive because the result of that report are no collusion, which we have been saying for 2 years now, and no obstruction. And so this has been a lie that has been told to the American people for 2 years now by many Democrats and some of their allies in the mainstream media. It's proven to be not true, and now hopefully we can move our focus to things like growing the economy and people's paychecks getting bigger, things that matter to the American people, and not this witch hunt and hoax of Russian collusion.
Some Democrats have contended that the president isn't fully exonerated, for example, talking about whether or not he has been fully cleared of obstruction of justice, but Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, saying it's time to move on. Do you think Democrats will move on?
Well, it only remains to be seen. You still see many people out there that are continuing their calls for impeachment. I mean, they're owned now by a radical base that is driving them further and further towards socialism. But I'll tell you, I grew up in a country, in an America, where you're innocent until proven guilty. And as it relates to obstruction, not only was there not enough evidence for the special counsel to recommend charges, the Department of Justice determined there wasn't enough evidence to pursue charges, let alone actual conviction. So in my mind, that's innocent until proven guilty, and that fully exonerates the president.
Does the president support the report itself being fully released at some point?
The president and the attorney general have been very clear. They want to see as much of this that can be released to the public as it can be under the law. What we've got to remember, though, is that this report likely contains classified information, methods, and sources, which must be protected under federal law. Also, you have grand jury testimony, which is considered secret. And finally, the Justice Department has had a long-standing regulation about releasing information that might not look flattering to someone who's not charged with a crime. So when you take those things into account, that's what the Attorney General, his staff, and the special counsel are going through. And if things can be released that don't fall under those exemptions, then the president and everyone else has been fully on board with having this information become public.
Well, much more of that interview on LasVegasNow.com. You can find it under the political news section in the news tab. Raising the minimum wage.
Nobody has talked about the idea about what this is going to do for and to young people.
The sky doesn't fall. Young people still work.
The Face-Off panel debates a bill that would put the minimum wage at $12 an hour.
And transparency in marijuana licenses. We may learn more after a Politics Now investigation and a new bill that might shine more light on the process.
Some people say personal injury claims are all about the money. Guess what? It is about the money. The money needed by clients to get their lives back together.
Golightly and Associates, 222-3333.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Hey, what about those who have applied for a loan with DLC in the past and been denied?
Great question. Unlike banks, we try our best to approve everyone. But the reality is that some people are going to be denied. Over 2 million people have applied with us for a loan. If you were denied in the past, come on back in. We'd love to give you another shot. We've even loosened our lending criteria over the past year.
They could also bring in a co-borrower, right?
Of course. Another good idea.
Get up to $5,000 in just minutes at Dollar Loan Center.
We switched.
I switched to Chevy.
I switched to Chevy.
We switched to Chevy.
I switched from a Ram to a Chevy.
See why people are switching to Chevy.
We love our Chevy. Why do we switch? Just look at it.
Switch into a new Chevy today. Current competitive owners get 21% below MSRP on most Equinox models when financing with GM Financial. That's over $8,300 on this Equinox.
Because CarX don't take the weekends off, neither do we. Don't wait until Monday to get the help you need now. At Glenn Lerner Injury Attorneys, we're available to take your call and get you the help you need right now.
Call 877-1500.
Game on Vegas is our new sports show, and we kick things off with UFC President Dana White. I'll ask him about the impact Conor McGregor's retirement will have on the company and look ahead to UFC 236. Game on Vegas, Sunday at 11:30 on 8 News Now.
Monday on Good Day.
It's the week Las Vegas goes country. The head of the ACMs will be here to tell us what's in store for this year's show.
Plus, how you can clear out those library fines and help a good cause at the same time.
Monday on Good Day.
Well, we told you earlier about a bill to raise the minimum wage to $12 an hour. So will it pass? And is it a good idea? We asked our face-off panel. Here's KXNT radio host Alan Stock from the right and Battleborn Progress Executive Director Annette Magnus from the left.
Nobody has talked about the idea about what this is going to do for and to young people. I think it creates character when young people have part-time jobs during the school year. I think it creates character when they have jobs during the summer. I did when I was going through high school and even into college. And if these kids now are going to be priced out of being able to get into these jobs, where are they going to go? I mean, I don't know the answer to that either. They don't have the answer. And I'm curious to see how they're going to address something like that. It's easy to say we're going to give a minimum wage, we're going to give it to all these adults who need it, and the people who are struggling, and you know and the older folks. But what do you do for the young kids who want to work and they're priced out of the job market? Literally, they're priced out of the job market.
I would think you would tend to agree that it will pass and get signed this session.
It's going to pass. It's going to get signed this session. I will say groups like mine have been fighting for a long time for $15. And so we were, disappointed when we saw $12. But we are working with Speaker Frierson and the Assembly and the Senate to get this passed because Nevadans deserve a raise. And it's not just young people who will be impacted by this. Some of them who are actually, raising families or helping take care of families. It's all people that will be impacted by this because when more people do better, you have less people on social services, more people can get ahead, they can get affordable housing, they can do all of the things that they need to do. And we know that the cost of living has gone up significantly and the cost of, or the price of minimum wage has not gone up with that cost of living. And so this is putting us on the right path. I believe this is a floor, not a ceiling. So I believe this is a good start for the state of Nevada to start moving ahead. And I think we have to see because I believe that there will be other pieces of this coming that will also improve how we do minimum wage going forward in the state of Nevada.
But what do you do for the kids who did have opportunities at one time, whether it's McDonald's or whether it was any other burger place or any of these places at all? If they are priced out of the market and the jobs aren't there for them, what happens to them? I understand they can sit out and play, video games, right? And they can hang out with their friends after school, gang problems. I mean, all that stuff. But what do you do to be able to address the lack of employment opportunity for young people? That's my concern in this whole thing.
I don't think there's a lack of opportunities. I had a job at 13 years old and I had a work permit to do so. I don't think there's going to be a lack of job opportunities. I don't think the sky is going to fall when we raise the minimum wage to $12. You haven't seen it happen in other states. It's not going to happen here. And I think what we need to prove here is that when we raise the minimum wage to $12, the sky doesn't fall, young people still work, people who are, older who have minimum wage jobs as well, because that's actually the vast majority of these people who are older, not actually kids. So when you start to look at once we raise the minimum wage and people start doing better and the sky doesn't fall and business doesn't crumble, then there's an argument to be made that we can continue to raise it with the cost of living.
We can also watch Alan and Annette debate raising the age to buy tobacco, the special counsel's report, and teacher pay raises. That's all on LasVegasNow.com. Look for political news under the News tab. Patrick?
All right, Steve, this is Eye on Carson City, where we tell you about some of the other things going on at the state capitol. Governor Sisolak has named a new state superintendent for the Department of Education. Joan Ebert was working in the New York State Department of Education for the past couple of years. Before that, she spent 25 years at CCSD. She replaces Steve Canavero, who resigned last month. A bill in the Nevada legislature would make it so law enforcement officers cannot have sexual contact with someone who is in custody. Senate Bill 383 was written with civil lawsuits in mind. It says that if someone who is in custody has sexual contact with a law enforcement officer, then the sexual conduct cannot be considered consensual because of the power dynamic. There is a companion bill in the Assembly that deals with the criminal side of that same issue. And Governor Sisolak is pushing a key amendment to a bill about transparency in how the state regulates the marijuana industry.
I think that Governor Sisolak and Director Young did exactly the right thing here. This is a great first step.
I think there was just absolutely no basis to have this process of handing out cannabis licenses run with this level of secrecy.
The Department of Taxation has introduced an amendment to AB 277, which would make a variety of information public about applications for licenses to open new dispensaries. The state is facing lawsuits over the licensing process from well over a dozen dispensaries that were denied new licenses. The state has denied public information requests from the Politics Now team related to that data, citing privacy laws.
And Patrick, this bill's been spurred on by lawsuits filed by people who were denied licenses, and they couldn't really even find out why.
And that's the central issue here so far. The only thing that the state will tell the applicants is yes or no as to whether you got an application, and then the scores related to that application. There's no explanation beyond that. That's been the major concern right now for the applicants who were denied. Some tax commissioners jumping on that, and now apparently the governor. Now, this has been controversial, though, because it's just 6 companies got 2/3 of the 61 new licenses that were put out. Former Secretary of State Ross Miller, who's representing about a dozen of these firms, says at least this is a good start to figuring out everything to see if it was above board in the process or not. Well, blasting the Green New Deal.
This is a beloved species of reptile mammals, native to the ice planet of Hoth.
Well, what is he talking about? We'll show you how one Republican senator turned to pop culture metaphors to make his point. Coming up.
If a payday loan isn't quite what you're looking for, try a Rapid Cash Easy Pay installment loan. You can get more cash, a convenient payment plan, and you don't need a bank account. Talk to one of our friendly associates about a Rapid Cash Easy Pay installment loan today.
Love that Rapid Cash.
The Ford Escape is the car you want when you want an SUV. But also the SUV you want when you want a car.
Now get the 2019 Ford Escape or Edge with 0% financing for 60 months plus $1,000 cash back. Only at your Desert Ford dealers.
Insurance companies will undercut you, knowing full well that you are entitled to more. Our job is to get you as much as possible.
Golightly and Associates, 222-3333.
This is William Carlson. For him and LVAC, it's all about the goals. No matter what your goals are, LVAC can help get you there.
Not all tech is created equal. The all-new 2019 Nissan Altima has advanced tech that Camry doesn't. Altima can see 2 cars ahead to help avoid a potential collision, connect to your smartphone easily, and Altima can instantly react to changing weather conditions with intelligent all-wheel drive. Guess there's some places Camry just can't go.
Get a low $239 per month lease on the 2019 Altima, or get 0% financing for up to 60 months on 14 models.
Nissan Altima, impossibly smart.
If you have a car, you could get cash. With a Rapid Cash Title Loan, you get more cash, up to $10,000 for any make or model. Apply for a Rapid Cash Title Loan today and unlock more cash.
Love that Rapid Cash.
You're watching Politics Now.
Well, during the vote in the Senate on the Green New Deal, Utah Republican Mike Lee used some very creative metaphors to blast the plan.
Picture of former President Ronald Reagan naturally firing a machine gun while riding on the back of a dinosaur. This is a beloved species of reptomammals, native to the ice planet of Hoth. This is a picture of Aquaman, a superhero from the undersea kingdom of Atlantis. These images are from the indispensable documentary film Sharknado 4.
Ian Ziering, I guess, is a documentarian, right?
I guess so. Well, Lee said he was trying to make the point that the proposal was about as serious as those images. Most of the Democrats simply voted present on the bill, leading to a 0-57 loss for the Green New Deal.
Well, in this week's What to Watch, we have a president and a presidential candidate in town. Donald Trump will be back in Las Vegas on Saturday. He is the keynote speaker at the Republican Jewish Coalition event over at the Venetian. We'll be there. Other big names include Vice President Mike Pence and House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy.
And Democratic presidential candidate and California Senator Kamala Harris will be back in Nevada as well. She's holding a roundtable discussion with teachers in Carson City on Tuesday.
A lot happening once again.
Also on Tuesday, we should note the municipal election, primary election day is on Tuesday.
Yeah, over 96, close to 97% have kind of forgotten about that, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't voted already, vote. And thanks for watching Politics Now.
All right, be sure, as we mentioned, to get out there and vote. We'll see you next week.